Hey there, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and I'm excited to be here on October, the 22nd, 2025, for today's 1-hour live cast. I'm starting a few minutes early because I'm ready to start. I don't know, we're going to jump in, we're going to go. I have lots to talk about. I hope you are doing well. Today I'm going to talk about Essen, the convention that's starting right now, or about to get started. I'm going to talk about Origin Story and our recent launch. I'm going to talk about Dredge a little bit, and Man vs. Meeple has a Origin Story playthrough after this. Our recent charity auction, some games I've been playing, K-pop Demon Hunters, a lot of random stuff that I'm going to talk about today, including a question of the day for you involving or regarding content creators. So a lot to talk about. I'm excited to be here. Feel free to ask me anything throughout this live cast. I'm happy to answer. Let's see. Rick has a good question about Origin Story. He says he received his Stonemaier game order about an hour ago. What would you say might be the biggest mistakes or misunderstandings people might have or might make while playing Origin Story? Good question, Rick. I would say two things. Two things come to mind. One is a rules question, and the other is kind of a commentary element. So the rules thing is, and it is clear if you just follow the instructions of the game, but I can see why it's maybe a little bit unclear at the same time. So during the setup for the game, every player gains 1 stamina token. Use stamina to charge up the different abilities in this competitive trick-taking tableau building game. 1 stamina during the game setup. And then at the beginning of every round, during the round setup, including round 1, you gain a stamina. And so as you are starting to play the first hand of cards after doing the game setup and the round setup, every player should have 2 stamina. I can see why it's a little confusing, but we did it because it's consistent with the rest of the game. We didn't want to say, okay, in the beginning of round 1, you gain 2 stamina, and then every other round, except for round 5, you gain 1 stamina. At round 5, you don't gain any stamina. Instead, we put it in the game setup, you gain 1 stamina. Then every round for rounds 1 through 4, you gain 1 other stamina. So just make sure as you were looking at your opening hand of cards and about to start playing them, that you have 2 stamina. You should have 2 stamina then, and they should already be on your story cards if you've decided to use them. The other element, real quick, commentary about randomness and balance in the game. We always try to make our games as balanced as possible. We don't always succeed, but that is a huge goal in our development and playtesting process. But I do want to point out that trick-taking games are inherently random and have different swings and balance because you are getting a random hand of playing cards. Origin Story gives you a lot of control over what you do with those cards through the engine building and through the different powers that you have. So you actually have more agency, a lot more agency than in typical trick-taking games. But I wanted to throw it out there. If you feel like a card or something in the game is unbalanced, it's entirely possible that it is unbalanced, maybe compared to another story card or circumstantially. But that's more about the randomness of a trick-taking game and how those cards are actually built in to mitigate that randomness and make a trick-taking game more balanced. So that's my take on some commentary about the game's balanced and randomness that people might want to know about going into the game. Let's see how it looks like. Austin got to enjoy Origin Story last night. He got destroyed, but looks forward to revenge soon. Well, thanks for playing it so quickly, Austin. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm not glad that you got destroyed by it. And I have a quick question about this. When you all play, if you were teaching the game, also I don't know if you were teaching it or if you were playing, if someone else had learned it in your group. But when you are teaching a game, if there's a moment in a game where you know there's an optimal choice for you, but it might hurt what an opponent is doing, someone who is actively learning the game, what do you do there? I encountered this the other day while teaching Origin Story to a few friends. I had some friends over. Megan and I played with another couple, and I had that moment where I was playing I was aligned as a hero for that round, and I knew that I could take a trick. But I knew that a friend really wanted to take the trick so that she could take the lead and then play another card, which would give her a point for taking the lead. And I was kind of caught there. I was like, I want you to have a good time while we're playing, but clearly the right play for me here is to take this trick. Like I have the card to take this trick. I'm curious what you all do in that circumstance. Overall, I want everyone to have fun. and it was just like such a small thing that I wasn't sure. I wouldn't do something truly destructive to someone while learning the game or while doing anything while playing a game. I'm curious what you all do when you're teaching a game like that. I see a few people mentioning K-pop Demon Hunters. That'll lead to a bigger question later on. I love the movie. I've still only seen it once, but I've heard it on in the background a lot because Megan puts it on when she's doing like puzzles and things like that. A few of you have asked or referencing the shipping for Origin Story. So let me address that real quick. Joe sent me an update just yesterday about the shipping status, the fulfillment status for those of you who have ordered Origin Story during the launch. The update that I have is that most fulfillment centers will have shipped all champion orders by the end of this week. Doesn't mean you'll have received them, but if you are a Stonemaier champion and you've already ordered Origin Story, you should get a shipping notification by the end of this week. The one exception is Australia, New Zealand, Asia. They're a smaller operation. They always run a little bit slower, and they should finish their ship out by early next week for champions. And then that means by the end of next week, pretty much I think all non-champion orders should also have shipped. That's what we're currently on pace for. Okay, Jan Williams says, does the champion discount work at Essen Spiel? And it does not, unfortunately. We would love for it to work, but logistically, it is I'll leave the question up on screen. Logistically, it's a challenge because kind of think through how it would actually work. This is how someone described it to me. Like you go up to the booth at Essen Spiel and you say, hey, I'm a champion. And hopefully you wouldn't say that if you weren't actually a champion, but we don't really know. They have to type your name into the system to see, oh, okay, you actually are a champion, and then give you the champion price as a result of that. That they aren't as connected to our Shopify system. The POS, the ordering system there at conventions isn't all that connected. In fact, it may not be connected at all to our Shopify system. So it just doesn't know if you are a champion. And it adds that extra layer and checkout of verification. And what if you say the wrong email? What if you actually aren't a champion? What if your champion membership lapsed, but you thought you were? We would love for that to be possible, but currently is not possible in our convention setup. You don't get a champion discount. The other thing is that it is very expensive for us to attend conventions. For any publisher to attend, you have to pay for the booth, you have to pay for the personnel to get there, and their hotels and their food, all the transportation. And then you have to ship the games there too, oftentimes by air freight, which is incredibly expensive. So we really, to break even at Essen, we sell games at full price, and we have to sell pretty much everything that we bring there at full price to manage to just break even at Essen Spiel. So that's the bad news. Champions don't get a discount at Essen, but please feel free to still mention that you're a champion. You might still get something. It may not be a discount, but it may be a signed card. It might be a little, we don't have like special convention promos, but there might be something there for you. So always feel free to mention that if you actually are a Stonemaier champion when you visit us at a convention. I will say I would love for you all to visit our booth at Essen Spiel. Obviously, I'm not there. My coworkers, Dave, Alex, and Susanna are there. Dave is probably the most visible because Alex and Susanna are in meetings all the time at Essen. But you can still, if you see them walking around, feel free to say hi. Those are my coworkers that are there. And then we have a wonderful demo team there as well. We're partnered with Inside Up at the convention, so we're kind of sharing a big booth with them. What else about it? If you're curious about what products we have there, there's a list on the events and conventions page of our website where you can see what we're actually selling at Essen. But the booth I think is a really cool, like it's kind of designed almost like a living room. It's designed to make you feel comfortable and that you can actually sit down and learn a game and play a game with us there. But yeah, the one other bad news. So that's the good news. The one other bad news is that through all the communication that I had leading up to Essen, the Vantage update pack should have been there. I found out last night that it was not sent there. I'm still trying to figure out why. I'm curious why, just so I can prevent that from happening in the future if we have a product that I really want at a convention, so people don't have to ship it from our fulfillment center. But it was supposed to be there. I don't entirely know why, because all the communication leading up to the convention indicated that it would be there, but it isn't. So I'm really sorry about that. So if you were hoping to get that update pack, which just has a few stickers for the storybooks and a few replacement cards for Vantage, I'm sorry, it's not there. It was intended to be there. I'm still trying to figure out where those copies are. If they're not at Essen, where they went, but I don't know where they are. So I'm really sorry about that. Blue says, I'm curious if you've seen the recent email Magic the Gathering sent out. I didn't, no, I'm not on their email list. It's asked if content creators have influenced consumers' opinions on the recent Spider-Man set, which hasn't done well. That's an interesting question. What was your impression from seeing that question from Magic the Gathering? Like, did it, yeah, I'm curious about that. I certainly saw a lot of people talking about the launch, and for the most part, I just saw people, content creators, sharing cards, sharing like cards from that set. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious about what your impression was from seeing that email. Joshua says, I wonder if there's a chance that the 2 cover art characters could be future player boards. Oh, the cover art characters. Oh, these are. I see, because we could make them their own panel. These are already heroes in the game. So both of these are heroes. They're who you might become in the game. I guess I see what you're saying, that they could be their own boards as well, but they are already in the game as superhero cards rather than as player mats. But Joshua, you do touch upon the one thing. So we have no expansions planned for Origin Story. There is a ton of replayability in this box. I've taught it many times recently, and no game has felt the same based on the story cards that have come up. The event card, there are 18 different event cards. You only have 1 in each game, and the different combination of heroes. And by heroes, I mean the final hero reveal, the superhero reveal. However, the one card that I would like there to be more of in the game are the superhero cards. So as you're playing Origin Story, if you have an idea for a superhero card, the final card that you reveal at the end of the game, feel free to post it on Board Game Geek, on the Origin Story Facebook group. I would love to consider adding some more hero cards, superhero cards at some point. LB Jeeper says, when teaching, I usually go first, play a few learning rounds then, and if the newbie wants, we just start over. That's similar to how I teach as well. In fact, I just filmed the how to teach video for Origin Story, which I think will go live on Saturday of this week. That essentially goes through that method. Here, Aaron's talking about my question about whether or not you make an optimal move or not if you're teaching a game in a competitive format. Aaron says, when I'm teaching, if I come across an incredibly optimal move for myself, I ask myself, can the person I'm teaching recover from it? If not, I won't do it. I like that, Aaron. You're considering how the other players will feel, especially since you're wanting them to have a good time with the teach. Garrett says, I've definitely taken inefficient turns when teaching or even just hosting because my primary goal is typically for everyone to have a good time or enjoy the game. And I should mention, I love that, Garrett. I have a similar approach. I should say that the answer to my question, what I actually did the other day, is that I did both. I was almost in my head, I was experimenting to see how I would feel by doing both. So there were a few tricks left near the end of the game, and I took one of them that I knew that I could have avoided taking if I wanted to, but I wanted to take it. I was a hero. So I took the trick. And then on the next trick, I intentionally didn't take it to see how that would feel too, knowing that one of the other players had a big, not a big move, but a move they wanted to make regarding winning that trick. So I did a little bit of both. And honestly, they both felt kind of similar, given that winning a trick in a trick-taking game with a total of 40 tricks, winning one trick is fairly minor. So maybe if it had been a bigger move, like Aaron said, it would have been. I would have made a different decision. Chad also says, "Do it. What is most fun? Is it more fun to see someone else succeed than do that, or do the fun thing if you're teaching?" Yeah, good balance from the two. Oh, here's Malathika is at the Stonemaier booth. Thank you for being there at the booth and joining us live here from Essen. Anything that we should know from the Essen booth that you want me to share out loud here on the livecast? Thanks for being there. So Austin says the game that he got the story of Origin Story, he says he was teaching it. He says, it was actually my mom who showed mercy to me. I was in a position as a villain where I would have been forced to take a trick, but she swooped in with love, the love suit, the Trump suit, to save the day. That's wonderful. And that way, hopefully she got to feel a little bit like a hero in the game, which is the intended result of playing Origin Story. Oh, here's Carell as well, also from the Essen booth. That's awesome that you all are joining us. Hello to everyone at the Essen booth, the Stonemaier Games Inside Up Essen booth. Carell, I hope you're doing well. Oh, Jeff mentions so I had the pleasure of playing a game on Board Game Arena called Naishi with Jeff on Friday night. We played 4 games back to back. Jeff won 3 of them. I won 1 of them. And at one point in the game, Jeff was like, this is clearly the optimal move, but I feel a little bad about doing it. And I think it was the teaching game. And I encouraged Jeff to do it, to take the move. I wanted him to take the move. Like, it was more fun for me, even as the person learning the game who didn't know the game as well, for Jeff to take a really powerful move so I could see the impact of it, and because I knew Jeff was going to have fun taking that move. So maybe in reverse, like I want someone to take the optimal move rather than to have mercy on me. Misery Gut says, love my shirt. This is a shirt that I got in Norway this past summer. Anyone from Molde from Norway enjoying the shirt, or who recognizes the shirt? Robert also has Origin Story arriving today in time for game night. That's awesome, Robert. I hope you all have fun with it. I'm excited for game night tonight as well. My recent games that I got to play were Naishi with Jeff and a couple Board Game Arena games. We played Naishi, played Arrow, also known as Sausage Sizzle, but it's Arrow on Board Game Arena. Pergola, also played that on Board Game Arena. And then in person, I played a game called Cooperium, a 2-player dueling game where the cards that you play give you a power, but they create a worker placement action spot for the opponent. That's Cooperium. And then I played the Skull King expansion the other day as well. Really cool, just kind of shuffle these cards in, add some new abilities and some new effects on numerical cards. Really neat, small expansion for Skull King, a game that I truly love. Garrett says, would you ever consider selling Stonemaier Game lanyards? I wear a badge at work and will be delighted to replace my Vegas Golden Knights lanyard with a Stonemaier one. That's a totally fair question, Garrett. Is there a universal type of lanyard that you think would work for that purpose that people would actually use? Is it the standard convention badge where it clips into a name tag? Is there a standard there? I think if we did it, there would have to be some sort of standard that we'd follow to increase the chances that people would actually use it. Valorian just asked, did the Vantage update pack make it to Essen? And unfortunately, even though I thought it was going to make it, unfortunately, there was some sort of miscommunication that I don't know what happened. And it is not there. And I'm really sorry about that. Let's see, just looking for questions here. I see a question that I don't quite understand, so it isn't really a question. Okay. Okay, Omar's getting Origin Story. I'm excited about that. George got Origin Story as well. So George has a little comment about the back cover of Origin Story. So when you get your copy of Origin Story, it'll look similar to this, but there will be a piece of paper that's on the back. There's a piece of paper there with a little touch of glue in the middle. There's a little touch of glue that holds that paper on. The reason for that is these boxes were run through a machine that shrink wrapped the games, and there had to be something keeping the paper in place. The paper's there for retailers. It's a retailer-focused piece of paper that has descriptions and things like that about the game. So it had to put a touch of glue on it. Our manufacturer assured us that you could remove it without damaging the box. And I think damage is a little subjective here, as George is pointing out. Like, you can see on my box, you can maybe very slightly see it there. That is what is left when you remove that glue. So just be careful when you remove it. It should not tear the box, but it might leave a little bit of a mark there. But it's on the back of the box. It's a tiny thing. I can understand why it might bother some people, but I think it was the right decision to make a retailer forward decision regarding that piece of paper. You don't need the piece of paper. You can just recycle it afterwards. But maybe do be careful as you remove it from the box to limit any markings it will leave on the box itself. Aaron also says, I do want to point out, whenever I'm teaching, I do end up losing most often since I'm overseeing how everyone is playing. I can't really focus on myself and what I'm doing. I can definitely relate to that, Aaron. That happens all the time, although I often lose games anyway, but even more so when I'm teaching the game. Chad says, I have a theory about why trick-taking games are fun. I find that it gives you multiple mini wins over the course of a game rather than one big win or loss at the end of a longer game. Thoughts on that? I think that's a great point. Yeah, Like I said, you're playing in Origin Story, you were playing a total of 40 tricks. And so you're not going to win all the tricks in the game. You probably won't win even half of them. But every now and then you'll have a hand, either a trick that you get to win a trick, that feels good, or a hand where your plan actually came together and you won a bunch of tricks as a hero, or you didn't win any tricks as a villain. And that feels really good too. I think that's one of the benefits of a multi-round trick-taking game as well, that it's not just about individual tricks, but it's about hands of cards as well. Brian says, does Stonemaier or would Stonemaier host a board game design contest? Brian, we tried this a long time ago, and I would say we're not going to do it. It's not something that we would do. I think our submission process serves that, fills that need really well. Our submission process, yeah, that does the purpose. The very short answer as to why I don't think game design contests work is that there has to be a winner, but there isn't actually always a winner. And this is what happened to us when we tried this a long time ago for an expansion for viticulture, which is that we got a bunch of submissions and we said that there would be a winner to this contest because we asked for submissions. But in the end, of all the submissions that we got, none were really all that good, unfortunately. And so we still had to pick a winner from that pool because we said there would be a winner for it. So our submission process doesn't, opposed to that, with our submission process, there's no guaranteed winner from it. There's no guaranteed person or game that will be selected from it. And that is out of respect to the designers who submit to us, but also out of the respect for the products that we produce for our customers. Nino says, what's a mechanism that you've always wanted to explore but haven't found the right theme or system for yet? What is a mechanism that I really love? So I love tug of war. I love the tug of war mechanism. I don't think I've ended up putting that in any of our games yet because it doesn't make sense. And it usually makes more sense for two-player games, and we don't publish two-player only games. See some other good comments about the mindset that you go into when teaching a game, and Gerald has a nice comment about that. Eric says, with the success of the Wingspan fan packs, do you anticipate many more versions spanning the remaining continents once those expansions are released? That's a great question, Eric. I think we will continue to make some more Wingspan fan packs for birds. As you point out here, they are only for continents that we've already covered because we want to make sure that Elizabeth Hargrave has full design control and freedom over the continents that we haven't covered yet. I think there might be some bird packs even before those continents because there are a few other viable, well play-tested, well-created sets of birds that I think that already exist that will work well. I don't know if we'll release them in sets of 6 like we did here. That was a lot to throw out all at once, but maybe in sets of 3. We might do a few of those in the future, and including eventually the continents that have not been released, but will be released presumably in the future. Okay, Daniel points out, piggybacking off of what Garrett said. Okay, so Garrett says there are a few variations for lanyards, but a typical convention lanyard would be this style for me. Some have detachable plastic clips like a keychain. And Daniel says something similar, that they should break away with a clip in the back. And that's required for safety, so someone can't pull on the name tag, presumably, or if that gets caught in something, that it can pull away. A few people are echoing the lanyard. Okay, here's my mom chiming in. She says, for someone who plays games with me, I appreciate it when you lose because I think you're the master and I feel a little better about myself. I appreciate hearing that, Mom. I will gladly lose a game if that makes other people at the table have more fun with the game, including and especially you. Matt says, anything exciting in the pipeline? Go on, give us a clue. Matt, I don't spoil things in the future, but there are hints on the progress chart on our website, including notices about upcoming expansions. The next 2 things that we're releasing are the Wingspan expansion and the Finspan expansion in early 2026. So that's the hint, the publicly available hint at what's coming next. Steven says, can you recall a memorable playtesting moment with Origin Story where the powers, event, and or cards among the players created a thrilling trick-taking round? My memory is focused more recently on my recent plays of Origin Story rather than the playtesting of the game, Stephen, but I did have a memorable moment with Jeff, who's in the comments here recently, where we all declared villain, which means that no one wants to win any tricks. That was a memorable moment for sure. And I think the events create some memorable moments as well. The events add like a big twist to the game. In the game that I played the other day, the event was that we only played 7 cards instead of 8. It's a tiny little twist, but it does change the way you think about it. It changes the math a little bit for the hero villain choice or the choices that you make in the round. And then there were some cards. There were some pretty cards that lead to memorable moments, including one that my friend did the other day. My friend Adam had he had the card Bravado, which is one of 2 cards in the game, story cards in the game, where you, if you activate it, you play with your hand face up. All players can see it. And then the flexibility that card gives you is that if you want to switch from being a hero to a villain at the end of the round, you can do that. You can basically change your alignment, have that flexibility. And he had a terrible hand. He was clearly going to be a villain, but instead of declaring villain, he activated Bravado, showed us his hand, played with it face up, and then, of course, lost all the tricks and switched to villain at the end of the round, or at the end of the hand. So I thought that was a fun moment, enabled both by the game and by the player. Armando says, how long was Origin Story in the making from early prototyping to publishing? It's technically been in the works since 2015. That's when I originally found Clementine's story, Clementine's superhero art, and I reached out to her to say, would you? Her art was based on like classic superheroes. I said, would you ever create a superhero game where you create the superheroes from scratch? And then I worked with a few designers, or 2 designers worked for a long time on a different version of the game. It didn't work out. It rested for a while, and then I ended up designing the game with my friend Pete. And once that part started, I think it's been around 2 or 3 years since we started working on the trick-taking version of Origin Story. Also, I see a few other people saying that their recent orders have arrived. Again, I mentioned earlier on that if you are a Stonemaier champion, your order should ship by the end of this week, unless you're in Australia, Asia, or New Zealand, in which case there will be a few champion orders shipped early next week. And in all regions, I think we're currently on track for all orders, all non-champion orders to ship by the end of next week. The Sea Otter says, have you thought about making a bird pack from the custom cards that Mizzou's College of Veterinary Medicine made? Yeah, thanks for asking about that. So one of the core requirements for the packs is that the cards are fan-made and made publicly available for playtesting. They are well playtested. So I don't think I have seen the College of Veterinary Medicine. I haven't seen those cards. Maybe they exist publicly, but I have not seen them. But ideally, if they want them to have a chance at being a fan-made pack, and that there are at least 25 of those cards, that they need to post them on Board Game Geek and or the Wingspan Facebook group so people can know about it, so we can know about it, and so that they can be publicly playtested. I have not seen that happen yet to my knowledge. Tim, thank you, Tim, for prompting me about the charity auction. So last week was our annual charity auction, our 12th annual charity auction, where we put together a big bundle of products from the last year, and we auctioned off that bundle to 10 different people related to content creators that haven't been a part of the auction before. And each of those content creators chooses a charity that they are passionate about. I have now made the donations to all 10 charities. The charity auction ended up raising a total of around $22,000. About half of that is from the winning bids. Those bids go to the charities. We match them winning bids as well, and we even add more on top based on how many Tokaido playmats we sold over the last week. $1 from every one of these sold goes to one of each of those charities. Actually, so a total of $10 per playmat sold, split into 10 $1 increments. And also Fulfill Right matched the highest winning bid, which was very generous of them. They're a fulfillment center for crowdfunding creators. So overall, it went really well. I've already created the shipments for most of the or really for all of the winners, I've created the initial shipments, but we have to make custom fin span boxes for them as well. So yeah, overall, I was really happy with how it went. Thank you to everyone who participated, whether you just liked it, whether you bought a neoprene mat or a natural rubber play mat, whether you bid on the auction, or if you were a content creator who was participating. Really happy to see how it went. Austin says, when is Mama Stegmeier's top 10 games video? You know, I'm going to see my mom fairly soon. We talk once a week, but we only see each other a few times a year because we're in different states. But I will have to see if my mom has, I know she's played that many games for sure, but I don't know if she has a top 10 list. We'll see if she comments here. George says, will the Wingspan and Finspan expansions be released at the same time? That is the plan, George, that they would be released at the same time so people can just bundle them together in their cart and consolidate shipping. Nino says, you mentioned that before Origin Story, it was a completely different game in the vein of Role Player. It had custom dice instead of numerical dice, but it was a little bit in the vein of Role Player. Are there other cases like this where the game changed the most during playtesting? There are. I would say Expeditions probably changed the most. I designed almost a dozen completely different versions of Expeditions before I felt that it worked. Aaron says, would you consider a top 10 trick-taking mechanisms? There are so many out there now. I do actually, Aaron, have a few videos about my top 10 favorite trick-taking games. And I think they probably cover the, since there are multiple videos, they cover my favorite mechanisms for trick-taking games as well. FG Bison says, I had a bit of an unfortunate issue on my order of Wingspan packs on the Australia-New Zealand store. The store ran out of the New Zealand pack mid last week. I checked out and then realized it got restocked later. What happened with the stock? So I can say what happened here. We ran out of the what was in stock there, but we had a little bit of extra stock left over and saved at our manufacturer at Panda in China, ready to restock quickly to air freight to different fulfillment centers if we ran out of different packs in those regions. And so we were able to contact Panda real quick and say, Panda, we want you to air freight this amount of different packs to Canada, Europe, and Australia. And for every customer who had signed up for a back in stock notification, we contacted those customers to let them know, hey, it's back in stock. We can add it to your order now if you let us know and get back to us soon. So again, it's always really, really important to make a back in stock request, even after you've placed an order, because on short notice, we might be able to add that thing to your order on short notice. But fortunately, we're going to keep these in stock on a regular basis as long as there is interest on that back in stock request form on our web stores. So just make sure you fill it out and we'll let you know when it's back in stock at a time that hopefully you can consolidate it with something else. Jeff says, you were right about Survivor this season getting much better as the episodes have progressed. Any non-spoiler thoughts at this point? Yeah, Jeff, you had mentioned that you were maybe a little bored by the first few episodes, but episode 3 is kind of an instant classic episode based on what happens in episode 3. I don't want to spoil that. And then episode 4, I think the most recent one that we watched, I'm starting to get to know some of the characters better and get to understand the dynamics between the different players. I'm really enjoying it, but I enjoy every episode of every season. Not every episode, but every season of Survivor. I'm in it no matter what. Neil says, nice job making a trick-taking game that can play solo. That's thanks to Automa Factory and Morton for creating that solo mode. Is the solo playability a must-have for all Stonemaier games? It is. Yeah, it is. He says, I mean, what if you make a negotiation or social deduction game? I think we probably at this point just wouldn't make a game if we don't think it could be made into a solo game. So that largely negates that style of game. There's probably a little bit of wiggle room there where if we found a truly incredible game that fit the types of things that we look for, but it just was impossible for it to be a solo game, we might consider otherwise, but I think it'd be very, very rare, especially since those style of games probably also wouldn't work at 2-player, and that would definitely knock it out of the running for Stonemaier Games. Really, we want all of our games to be played from 1 to 5 players, or maybe even a little bit above 5 players. To piggyback on top of this, Francisco says he noticed that Stonemaier is looking for a short game within our game submissions. Is there anything specific you guys are looking for? Yeah, so very specifically, I'll read it out to you what we are open to that is beyond the normal types of games that we're looking for. And actually, this is a little bit along with your question, Niels, where there's a little bit of flexibility in terms of a type of game that we are open to publishing one of these, a truly great version of this type of game. And it probably wouldn't negate the solo eligibility for the game. So here's what our website says. We are looking for just one, light, short, easy to learn, and highly replayable game in the style of The Gang, Just One, So Clover, Blob Party, Caution Signs, No Thanks, Inking Gold, The Resistance. I actually do mention The Resistance on there. Codenames, Illustrations, Wilmot's Warehouse, etc. For at least 3 to 7 players, although ideally it would be 2 to 8. And I do want to highlight a few of those games. So these are modern classic games, highly replayable, that are the types of games that you can play with anyone and have a good time, in my opinion. But I do want to highlight a few of these games in particular that I think are really in the style of game that I think about when I think about the style of game. The Gang, Just One, and So Clover, I would say, are that level of game and that style of game. So most likely a cooperative game. The type of game that you can explain in just a few rules on the back of the box, which really I should highlight that a little bit better here on our submission form, because that is a key requirement. I want the type of game where on the back of the box, in 3 easy steps, you can say, this is how you play this game. And yes, maybe the rule book is a little bit more nuanced, but that is the type of game that I'm looking for. The type of game that I could bring to a family reunion, that I could share with younger members of my family, but I could also share with my gaming friends, and we would have a great time with it as well. I know that's a big category. It's the type of thing that we've gotten a lot of submissions for, and we have played some of them and enjoyed them, but just haven't found that game that we think could be a huge hit in that category. G-Money says, love the bird pack promos. Is it going to be possible in an upcoming expansion to get updated bonus cards based on the new promo cards? So in terms of percentages, the cards in these packs do have I'm gesturing below. The cards in these packs are in line with the percentages of the bonus cards. We don't plan on reprinting the bonus cards, but we do in each of these packs include a few different kind of rules cards or rule reminder cards. And some of them do refer to the bonus cards, like on this one. This one refers to the bonus cards. So I mean, maybe in an expansion, we'll take these into consideration for the bonus cards. I think that makes sense. We often do that with bonus cards. But I will say that we also took that into consideration in the creation of the packs themselves. Oh, awesome. So Odd Willow's Game Haven asked, I think recently, can they get, as a retailer, can they get the Vantage Update Errata Pack? And the answer was yes, just contact us so we can help you out. And that is the case for all retailers. Just contact us, specifically Susanna. She's not going to respond this week because she's at Essen, but contact her and she will be able to help you out with a few of these packs for your customers, so they don't have to ship them. If that's all they want from our web store, they can just pick it up from their friendly local retailer instead. Chad says, do you think a full-length board game using a trick-taking mechanism is an untapped market? I can only think of Arcs that has done this, and of course, Origin Story has done this as well. Full-length game, multi-round game with trick-taking at its core. I think it's well, I won't say trick-taking specifically, but I think it is a neat idea to take a very simple mechanism and build a game around it, as we did with Origin Story, as Apostocracy did with the game Whist. Really clever recent game that I think will help. Really, really incredible game that does it. But lots of games do this where they take like the bingo mechanism or the match 3 mechanism that's used in Tiny Towns. A bingo is used in a game that I always forget the name of this game, but it's used in some heavier games. So I think that is an untapped market, to take a very simple, easy to explain concept and build a broader game around it. I think that's generally, I think, a neat place to start with game design. I don't know if I can speak to the market in general, but I think it's a neat game design space. Mark says, have you seen this awesome board game designer online tool, Boardsy? I have, Mark. Yeah, I have an article about Boardsy on the Stonemaier Games website if anyone wants to check that out. If anyone is just listening instead of watching and you want to search our website or learn more about it, it is board, like game board, and then SSEY. Morgan says, will the Wingspan nesting box be restocked soon? I've signed up to be notified when it's hoping it may be soon. I know that we are actively reprinting it, but I don't know how soon it will arrive. I think it might still be a few months away from arriving, Morgan. David says, are the Vantage errata packs going to be available at PAX U? And have you found additional typos since those were produced? David, we have certainly made a few minor tweaks to Rule Pop, the Rule Pop storybooks, since we produced the update pack. So Rule Pop is a helpful tool for that. I wouldn't say you have to use Rule Pop, but if you ever encounter something in the Vantage storybooks, whether or not you have the update pack, and it seems weird or odd, feel free to check it on Rule Pop. It will also be at PAX U. You can see that on our events and conventions page. We have a list of products that will be available there. Austin says, the competition show comment, Ronnie, is there any update on your Destination X style Vantage reality competition video? Thanks for remembering that, Austin. So I fully designed this game, and then I've kind of shied away from actually running it. This is meant to be a reality style game that I would play on our YouTube channel with a few different people that I would host for other people. So I still need to have the courage to actually give it a try, Austin, but I haven't actually tried it yet. I think partially because I don't exactly even know why, but yeah, I do intend to try it at some point. Neil says, speaking of playmats, what is your favorite non-Stonemaier playmat and why? I have a really beautiful playmat on my table from board game, from Game Toppers. Game Toppers is the one that made it. It is a scythe themed Game Topper playmat that I really like. It doesn't have scythe mechanisms on it. It's just the art that is reminiscent of scythe. Will says, do you have a favorite bird card from the new fan-made Wingspan expansions? I wish I had a good answer for that, Will, but I don't have a specific bird card favorite from the new and it's not expansions, they're just promo packs. I don't have one yet, but I'm curious, do you have one? Have you found one yet that you are particularly excited about? That question applies to anybody. So many questions today. I feel like I'm behind. Actually, I'm not too far behind. Francisco says it would be exciting to see Stonemaier publish their own party game. Would you consider publishing a race betting game such as Ready Set Bet? Those types of games seem to be trending as well. Whenever a game type is trending, I'm actually more hesitant to publish that style of game, because especially when really quality games in that genre are already available. So I would say I am open to any amazing game, but for great games that are trending, I am less likely to get excited about them because there are already great alternatives in that space. Kelly says, is there a theme for a game that you're generally averse to, and would there be an element in the theme that would redeem the theme in order for you to consider it? Kelly, I actually filmed a video about this very recently. I have a series of videos coming out about the types of themes, mechanisms, and genres that either I or Stonemaier ambassadors generally aren't interested in, but what are the exceptions to those? And one that comes to mind, I think I've given this example, but I think it's fair to give again, is zombies. Zombies generally don't excite me as a theme in games, but I love interesting twists on zombies, and Creature Caravan has a great twist on zombies. Creature Caravan is a game about going on a journey where you are picking up and sometimes fighting zombies along the way, but it treats zombies more as a way of getting victory points rather than something that overcomes you, or you're not being turned into zombies. They aren't a constant nuisance. If you have them at the end of the game, they're just -1 point each. But it's essentially Ryan Lockett's version of a zombie game, and I really like that he made it his own. He didn't dive too deep into zombie tropes, but he still made them these kind of lumbering zombies that slowly follow you around. They join your caravan, and sometimes you can decide to fight them and get rid of them. So that is a specific example, and I look forward to sharing that video. It won't be out for a little while, but I have filmed that video about exceptions to themes that don't normally get me excited. Let me throw out, before I run out of time, let me throw out a few other topics and a question of the day for you. So yeah, I have a bunch of different little topics here. I will say in terms of the Stonemaier Games world, what I've been working on a lot recently, I've been doing a lot of play testing for a variety of different products that I can't get too specific about, but a lot of my work recently has been about play testing. I do want to say, have a bit of a somber moment and say that yesterday, two of my friends, two beloved dear friends who I play games with, I play disc golf with. Both of them lost their dogs yesterday. Their dogs passed away. They are no longer with us. And these were dogs that joined us for disc golfing over the years. They were delightful dogs. And I'm heartbroken that these two dogs are gone. So I just wanted to say that, not to bring everyone down, but to honor these two delightful dogs, Bria and Bernie, and to give you maybe a little reason to give your pets a little extra hug today in their honor. I definitely went over to Walter and gave him some extra love after I heard that news. So yeah, there's that. I'm reading a really great book right now that I'm loving. Like, it's one of these books where I'm excited to go to bed every night so I can read more of this book, and it reminds me a lot of Red Rising. So if you liked Red Rising, I highly recommend that you check out the book Heaven Breaker. One word, Heaven Breaker. And maybe the slight hook that I'll throw out there, because I'm still reading the book, I'm like, I don't know, maybe 15% of the way through, is that it is a game about jousting in space. So far future sci-fi, but tied to the old medieval sport of jousting. That was the hook for me. I was like, okay, I'm in for this, and the book has paid off so far with that hook. I'm really enjoying that hook. I do want to mention again, hopefully I'll remember in a few minutes, but Man vs. Meeple is doing something. I think it's a playthrough for Origin Story on the Man vs. Meeple YouTube channel right after this. I'll try to remember that at the very end. I mentioned K-pop Demon Hunters earlier. So this is actually a quick question. This isn't my main question, but one question for you involving K-pop Demon Hunters is, I've noticed that there are certain movies that get a ton of replay. People watch these movies over and over and over again. And I can see why. K-pop Demon Hunters, it's not only a great movie, but it's also very catchy due to the music. And I think the music is part of the key of what makes it highly replayable, that you get these songs caught in your head. Frozen did the same thing a couple years ago, and Kanto did the same thing. Is there an equivalent to that in the board game world? A game that you kind of can't get out of your head or can't get off the table because of X, equivalent to the music in musicals like Encanto and K-pop Demon Hunters and Frozen. That's my mini question today. I have another one that's coming up in a second. The last thing I wanted to mention is Dredge. I put that on the topic today. A few people, some of you and others have recommended that I play the game Dredge over the years, the video game Dredge. I haven't played a video game in quite some time. I played a bunch earlier in the year and just have wanted to do other things with my free gaming time. But last night I had a little bit of extra time. I had finished working on a prototype, and I played it for about 45 minutes before going to bed. And I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. It's essentially what is Deep Regrets, the board game Deep Regrets. It's essentially Deep Regrets, the video game. Dredge came first. I think it probably influenced Deep Regrets. It's a fishing game with a little bit of a creepy vibe to it and creepy things that can happen. I haven't gotten too far into the creepy stuff yet, but it's just kind of a nice game where you take a boat out, you fish for some stuff, you explore a little bit, and then you come back and you sell those fish and you upgrade your boat so you can do it a little bit better. Really nice cycle to the game in that way. And I'm really enjoying it. So I wanted to give it a quick shout out. I will be doing a video about it soon. Neil says, what about the fast forward games? I've only tried fast forward Fear, but in that there are no rules to read beforehand. You just put the deck on the table and the cards tell you what to do and build rules as you go. I think that is an amazing concept. I have not played one of them yet, but I do want to experience what that's like. And so I actually tried to do that with Charterstone, but the feedback I kept getting is that people really like to prepare for a game in advance if they're going to be teaching it to friends. And so I ended up I added a slim rule book to Charterstone that you could read in advance before playing. Yeah, but I think it's a really cool concept. Aaron points out that Molly House, the game Molly House, does use a proto-poker mechanism that's well ingrained into the game as well. This tags onto a question earlier about games using a simple mechanism like trick taking and then building a bigger game around it. Pete, thank you, Pete, for saying this. I really enjoy your favorite mechanism videos. Enjoy seeing games that I may not have seen before. And he's having a blast with Magical Athlete just for the chaos, win or lose. I've only played this once so far, but I also had a blast playing it as well, especially for as simple of the mechanisms. Talking about simple mechanisms, it's a roll and move game, but it gives you special powers that add such wacky, memorable twists to the game that it works. That it's really magical as a result. Let's see. Garrett says he's not a fan of Cthulhu stuff, but he loves Chronicles of Crime. One from the new set has a Lovecraftian setting, but I'm thinking about backing. Are you backing anything new? Yeah, I did see that. I think that's really neat. I actually, and just yesterday, I filmed a video about detective and mystery games. So it's exciting to see that more games in that genre are coming out. What am I backing right now? I think it's kind of still the same as last week. I'll pull this up as we're talking. I think the things that I recently backed have now finished their campaigns. I backed Calypso, I backed a book called Maya, and I backed the Secret Societies game, but I'm not currently backing anything, at least not on Kickstarter that I can see. League says, how do you feel about new designers using AI to help flesh out ideas and get something ready for a first playtest? The designer is still creating the ideas. The AI is used as a time saver. League, honestly, I'm not interested in generative AI at all. So I'm just not interested in it. Julio says he hosted a Dice Throne Battle Royale that we created a few tweaks with to the original rules. This would be our second playtest since our first was a success. That's really cool. And by Battle Royale, do you mean that you're all in it all at the same time, or is it more of a tournament style where it's head-to-head matchups? It sounds like Battle Royale. I think that is more where you're all in it together at the same time. That's pretty cool. Ivan says he has a suggestion for my big and small idea. What if the goal is set collection like Stamp Swap, points for most of the same size, points for most of one color, points for the same type of card. Cards themselves will be actions that the animals do in the wild. So it sounds like you're pitching an idea for a game, Ivan, and I appreciate that. My response to any game idea is do something with it. It's really hard to comment on any idea because it's just hypothetical. But if you're excited by it, do something with it. Design the game and see if it works in execution as well as it does in the hypothetical fun potential of design space. Garrett says, have I read Will of the Many? I have read it. In fact, I was just thinking about it while reading this other book, Garrett. This book, if you like Will of the Many, if you like Red Rising, I do highly recommend Heavenbreaker. And I do really enjoy it. I'm really excited. I pre-ordered the book too as soon as it was announced for Will of the Many. I see that Altama factory designer David also lost his dog this year, and I'm really sorry to hear that, David. That I think we talked about that when that happened, but it's so sad to lose. They're a part of our family. They're our friends, and our family members. It's tragic to learn a pet. I keep this photo video on my desk every day. Let's see. Okay, so people are answering the question about games that hit the table repeatedly that you can't get out of your head. Oddwillow says Sky Team, Flip 7, Flamecraft, Wormspan, Mysterium Night Cage. Chad has this as Marvel United because it's quick to set up and tear down. So maybe that's part of it. The ease of actually getting it to the table, that's got to be part of it. That makes sense. I'm curious, is there any equivalent to the musical element in these movies that make them so rewatchable and replayable even in the background? Here we go. Oddwillow says, each one has something that you can say in one sentence that hooks people. So it's not just about you thinking about it and you getting it to the table, but also you wanting to share with others because of a really cool hook. I like that. Rick does have a favorite from the new promo packs. The Eurasian Skylark. It's a pink power that lets you draw a bonus card when another player draws one, and it's 5 points on its own. There are a lot of things, new birds that interact with the bonus cards. Jake says, the thing that gets stuck in my head is a truly novel game mechanism. I'll noodle all day or for days about how to optimize what the new mechanism is in the game. Recently, I've tried Marrakesh. I've been curious to try that one myself, which is that it has a truly novel action selection draft mechanism interwoven with the uncertainty of a dice tower. I like that, Jake. So having a truly novel game mechanism that you're like, that maybe you're toying with a little bit both as a designer and a player, that you can't get it out of your head. Board Game Eric says, have you checked out the game Deco? I watched the Brothers Mirth do a playthrough yesterday and it's heavily Balatro inspired. I did see it. I'm curious about it. I'm following along. I haven't pulled the trigger on backing Deco yet, though. I would say that one and the Wonderlands War Duel are the two that are intriguing to me, but I haven't yet backed them yet. So Austin says he's also watched the K-pop Demon Hunters like 7 times now. In board game terms, the movie has a great thematic hook and does some things never done before. I'm drawn to board games that have an innovative twist. So this kind of echoes what Jake said as well. Fellow Design Day attendee Jake and Austin. Oh, cool. Chad says that the Game Toppers actually has a good clearance sale right now. And like I said, I really like the Scythe inspired playmat from Game Toppers. Mark says that Tapestry is the earworm game for him. So maybe we need to make this a category of earworm games. It will suddenly spike in plays for a while, mellow out for a bit, and then spike again. In any case, I'm always game to play Tapestry, hoping for more civs to explore. There's so many civs already out there, Mark. You want even more of them? I need to make a note of this of earworm games. Actually, I haven't even gotten to my question of the day today. We'll just make that the question of the day. I'll save the other question for the future because it is a bigger topic to go into. Grayson mentions Castles of Viking Ludwig as their earworm game. Aaron says Space Base. I could Space Base that I go through waves where I want to play a lot of Space Base, and then I don't want to play for a lot, and then I'll come back to it. I can see that. Aaron says whenever my mom is having a rough day, I offer Space Base, and it always perks her up. Oh, that's wonderful, Aaron. I love that. Let's see. Raven Plus says in Vantage, miss card. I think if I do 2 or more action there, the mission card can be completed easier. Should I limit to 1 action on the mission card? So the intent behind the design of those actions on the mission card are that players can take them if they're feeling a little bit lost and if they decide that the mission is important to them. There are certainly games of Vantage where I play where maybe I think about the mission a little bit, but then I get caught off on some other rabbit hole. And I'm like, this is what's important to me. This is what I want to do this game. The game is designed around letting you make that choice. After you know Vantage pretty well. Oh, and the other thing that mission cards can do is speed up the game. So if you are playing Vantage and you're like, I kind of want this to wrap up in the next 30 minutes, then start taking those actions on the mission. Otherwise, though, if you aren't feeling lost, if you aren't pressed for time, I generally recommend not taking the actions on the mission. Like they're there as a backup, a boost, almost like a cheat code, rather than a default that you should be taking every game. So in general, unless you are feeling lost or you're pressed for time, I recommend not taking any of them. Aaron also says that Vantage is an earworm game for Aaron. It's the perfect planet to escape to when I need some time to myself. I feel that same way, especially with the addition of the fan design, or not fan design, but the fan inspired pets, the ability to put pets in the game. And if you don't know how to do that yet, check out our website. There's a template that anyone can use to put your pet in Vantage. I recently did a play of Vantage using the Aquaman challenge, the recent monthly challenge. And Walter joined. I believe Walter was in that one. Walter joined me for that challenge. We had a great romp through some of the watery areas of Vantage. Kelly says that, here we go. Fliptown is one that Kelly and her husband bring out a lot. We have a soundtrack in our minds while playing. Oh, interesting. So you have a soundtrack in your mind. Maybe even you have a soundtrack. Some people actually play a soundtrack while they play. And I wonder if that helps get certain games back to the table when you have that soundtrack playing along with the theme of the game. Darren says, I'm just getting back into Netrunner. The fan-controlled game looks pretty awesome. They've done a good job since taking it over after FFG lost the license. They even used artists that were involved in the FFG version. That's pretty cool that this whole game is like a fan-generated game at this point rather than one that's controlled by a publisher. That's really cool. Travis has a comment. Travis, who was the coordinator for the fan design promo packs. Travis has a comment about the bonus cards. He says the bonus card percentages, when including all the promo packs, are generally pretty close to the values printed on bonus cards. If you want numbers, just ask on Discord and he can share. Krista says that digit code is her earworm right now. I love seeing how quickly I can figure out the code. And that's cool. More of a puzzly game. Garrett says for an earworm game, depends on the people around the table. Old school Acquire, Scythe, Bacon, and Mountain Goats are newer entries to that. Trishul says, sometimes a game gets stuck in my mind. It's stuck in the mind of the game master if players continue to discuss it after a session regarding various strategies and factions. And that's happened for Trishul, for Tapestry, Voyages of Marco Polo, Hanabi, and Troyas. I like that aspect of it, where it inspires discussion, and that almost makes people say, okay, how am I going to do this the next time I play? Mark says, more stuff is always awesome for Tapestry. Maybe a promo box product that contains more new content promos from different popular products. It's possible, Mark. That isn't a strategy that we typically pursue, but if enough people want it, we'll at least consider it at some point in the future. Oh, Aaron points out that the game Luthier, which is a game about restoring and repairing instruments, that it has a companion soundtrack to it, which makes perfect sense for that game. A few more comments here that we'll wrap up for the day. I love your comments. I love your questions. Thank you all for joining me today. And I just did the thing that I tried not to do, where I say you all. I should say you. Thank you for joining me today. So DVS said, what is Dredge? This is a video game where it's a fishing video game with a creepy kind of, I don't want to say Cthulhu, but a creepy element to it that I just started playing last night. Chad says that he has a superheroes playlist on Spotify that he played while playing Origin Story. I should have done that while playing and teaching it the other day. And last, probably we'll end with Kevin's comment. Earworm games are usually those that are easy to learn and have simple turns, but are difficult to master and have plenty of depth. Castles of Burgundy comes to mind. I love that way of thinking about these earworm games. A couple of other quick questions. Jordan has SETI and Voidfall, Barrage on Mars. Heavy games with lots going on. So a very different style than some of these other games. These aren't games that are easy to learn or teach or get to the table, but they are the games that maybe make you think about doing something differently the next time you play. And okay, specifically, Chad says that the return of the Sinister Six Marvel United box was the earworm game for him because it was so hard. I guess that's interesting that it was a difficult cooperative game, so you wanted to get it back to the table to try to win it. That's a neat way to look at it as well. Okay, awesome. Thank you all for the answers. I didn't expect that this small question about K-pop Demon Hunters would get so many wonderful, nuanced responses, but I really appreciate that. I hope you all have a wonderful day. We didn't talk about treat of the day, but I hope you treat yourself to something fun and delicious today, or wonderful or joyful. And yeah, I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care. I don't know why I have Chad's question still on the screen. Thank you, Chad. All right, take care. Have a great day. Bye.